Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at our CURT Premium Hanging Style Bike Rack right here on our 2022 Toyota Tundra. This is what I consider a family-friendly bike rack because of the way it's designed. So we have a tapered end of this rack, which makes it easier for those children's bikes or those bikes with smaller frames, and then you have it where it's further apart for your more adult bikes. So we'll talk about those features and the specs of this bike rack, but we're gonna focus on our Tundra today. That way we can see and you can make the decision for what is the better fit for you, your different types of bikes, and your truck. The way our bike is mounted here is we have 1, 2, and 3 touch points. So the top 2 are gonna be on our frame, and then the third is gonna be our anti-sway down on our seat post. So when we wanna take the bike off, we're gonna start over here at the bottom, and you can see without that strap in how much sway there is. Then we're gonna take the rest of the straps off. So you have to pull on that rubber strap in order to release it from that tab. Once that's through, you're then gonna lift your bike through the arms. And you can see here towards the center how much easier it is, very helpful for those smaller frames. You can also adjust the cradles themselves if you're carrying normal sized bikes just to support them and take up more space. So there's a lot of versatility to this rack in making it yours. Once we're through, I'm just gonna go leave this over to the side. So with the bike out of the way, we get to take a closer look at the rack itself. First, we'll take a look at the cradles. Notice the way they're shaped. You actually have different options here for rotating the cradles to fit your frame better. And that's the same thing that can be done at the end, just to make it less tapered for those larger frames. You also have those straps. Those straps go around and secure in those tabs. I actually recommend rotating the straps like you would rotate tires. Whichever gets used more, switch it out with what gets used less, and that helps them last a little bit longer. Over here you can also see how it tapers closer to the end. I actually have the 4 bike version here. You're gonna get the 5 bike version, works the exact same way, although that one has 3 tapered cradles at the end compared to this one, which has 2. With the ability to carry around a lot of bikes, you also have a lot of space added to the back of your truck. So let's take some measurements to see exactly how much. I'm gonna measure from our bumper here to the end of the rack by these nice red reflectors. It sits at around 41 inches. The 5 bike version will have about 5 inches added to that. The cradles themselves are spaced around 5 inches apart, although we have a good amount of gap on this end. So that's helpful when you're backing into your garage or trying to park into a tight spot. Since you're already taking up a lot of space with your truck, you'll want to know how much space you need to account for when you have a bike rack behind you. Let's talk about weight capacities now. So the weight capacity of the 4 bike version is 185 pounds. The weight capacity for the 5 bike version is 225 pounds. That is 45 pounds per bike, which is impressive because most hanging racks limit you to 35 pounds. Now the downside to a bit more weight capacity is, I don't know if you noticed, but this is a tall rack, and pretty much any hanging rack is gonna get you up there. The one bike rack that I know of that actually helps out with the height is the Malone Runway. You may wanna check that one out. That's gonna be a little bit lower to the ground, a great pairing for your truck. But that is the height you're gonna have to lift those heavier bikes up onto. Just make sure you get them closer to your cab if you are. In the back, we have this anchor point, and that's gonna be for your own cable locks. We have cable locks here at eTrailer if you don't already have one. And this comes a little bit closer to our truck's tailgate. So distance between the two is gonna be still 6 3/4 inches, plenty of clearance there. Now, if you want to lower your tailgate, you obviously can't with it in this position. You can tilt the bike rack away though. So I'll guide you through that process. It's a little bit complicated, but it's definitely doable. So you turn this knob around first, just enough to loosen this clip, and then this pin, let that hang. You're then gonna lift up on this lever, and then that drops this down to a tilt. So you'll want to do that if you want to lower your tailgate. Let's see if we can though. So as we completely lower this, we see it hits the top of that lever. We can't fully lower it, but still get pretty good access to our truck bed. So it is nice to see that you do have the option to tilt this bike rack away, but do remember that you can only do it with the bikes off. So it is gonna take a little bit of time, something you're gonna have to consider if you want that limited access to your truck bed. We also have bike racks that can tilt away with the bikes on. Those are going to be our platform racks then that can tilt away. I'd like to say the one that had the best bet was the Rocky Mounts monorail, and that had a pretty good tilt with the bikes on there. Now, what if your bike rack does take up too much space inside of your garage, but you also don't want to take it off because you're waiting to put your bikes on? What you can do is you can lower the arms. You have this clip over here, so just take that clip out, and that will allow you to remove this pin, and this lets you drop down those arms and hold on to that pin and clip, because you're immediately gonna pop them right back in and then secure them at the end. Let's take some measurements to see the difference this makes. The distance this now adds to the back of our vehicle is gonna be from the bumper to the end of the shank, and that's 14 inches. Big difference compared to when the arms were up. This is also going to be the position you have your bike rack in when you have it stored on its own inside of your garage. Notice that this goes just barely above the tailgate, so it's not going to hinder your view through your rear window. Obviously your taillights are visible. What it does cover though, and what any hanging rack will cover, is a bit of your license plate, and your backup camera sits over to the side right between the arms and the mast. So that means you'll still see the bike rack in your view, but you'll also be able to see pretty much everything beyond that bike rack. Helpful when you are backing up. This has a 2-inch shank, fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. We have a clip at the end keeping everything secure, so not a locking hitch pin bolt. So that anti-rattle bolt uses a 3/4 inch socket to tighten it down and help secure your bike rack to your hitch receiver. Let me do a quick shake test to demonstrate how that works. So they shake your bike rack around just to simulate that road movement and vibration. You can see I'm really just moving the truck at this point. If you see like there's movement on your bike rack, double check that mast. That lever in the back helps secure the mast itself and make sure nothing else moves. Here on our test course, we'll start by going through the slalom. This is going to show us the side-to-side action, which simulates turning corners or evasive maneuvers. Once we get to the alternating speed bumps, we'll see the twisting action. This will simulate hitting a curb or a pothole or driving over uneven pavement. Now lastly, we're going over some full speed bumps, and we can see here the up and down action, and this will just be like driving in and out of a parking lot, garage, or driveway. So my personal thoughts about this pairing is if you're planning on bringing your friends, your family all out for a bike ride, you have your smaller bikes, or you even have your bikes that use a frame adapter bar, this is going to be very, very helpful because of how it's tapered. It makes it so much easier to get those smaller frames, which is very difficult when you are carrying multiple bikes. Now you do have other options here, eTrailer. If you want more stability and you don't want any sway of the bikes into each other, check out our platform racks. The Hollywood Racks Destination 4-bike platform rack is a great option where it's still affordable with a platform stability. We also have tailgate pads. You can carry up to 7 bikes with the Swagman Paramount tailgate pad. So there's a lot of options for your Toyota Tundra. Hopefully this video helped you out with that decision-making process though. That way you can see what features you liked, didn't like, and get the best fit for you, your bikes, and your truck. But right here, right now, we took a look at the CURT Premium Hanging Style Bike Rack on our 2022 Toyota Tundra.